you all for coming out tonight. I'm Jess Saad, your local city councilwoman. We are going to hear tonight from Franklin County 2023 Property Appraisals Info Session. Also wanted to give a thank you tonight to Paige and Zach over here for helping assist us in setting up tonight's program. A huge thank you to Franklin County Auditor Michael Stinziano and his staff, which is behind us tonight, for coming to speak to us. We had the privilege in June in Bexley City Council chambers of being presented information on the reappraisal process, how it was conducted, and how home values will be affected from Auditor Stinziano's staff. My colleagues and I found it very helpful, so I thought the community would benefit from having this presentation at the Bexley Public Library tonight. Auditor Stinziano took office in March of 2019, and without further ado, Auditor Michael Stinziano.
Well, thank you, Councilwoman Saad. So she's right. The office has been out and about for this entire year, making sure everyone in our community knew about the mass reappraisal process. This is the first time we've been invited back somewhere, though, so I appreciate that opportunity and look forward to talking about the process so you understand what's happening, why it's happening, what that impact is going to be on you, and then what role you as a property owner can play as we get to the rest of this year. The first question we always get is, why do we do this? And we do it because it's Ohio law. We were at a forum earlier this week and someone said, values are good, things are well, who needs this money? Ohio law requires that every 6 years, auditors across the state, so all 88 counties do this, conduct a mass reappraisal process. The mass reappraisal process is we go review almost 450,000 parcels in Franklin County, for example. We never go inside the home, but we are making sure that valuation is reflective of what's going on in our community. We'll talk about kind of the perfect storm and what's impacting here, but there are a number of counties conducting either a mass reappraisal or there's also a 3-year triennial update. And so in 2020, that's the last time you would have heard of an appraisal update from the auditor's office. That was the triennial. That's based more on real estate sales. It is not as all-encompassing as the mass reappraisal process is. So this is the big one. What has happened in the last 2.5 years, and we were joined in the back by Lance Gates, the head of our appraisal department, is our appraisers, along with a third-party company, have gone out and looked at all the properties across the county. Along with doing that, we create delineated neighborhoods. So I know for Bexley, you think north, south, and central. Even within those, though, those delineated neighborhoods, we are looking for similar properties in terms of lot size, square footage, features. And as we have gone across the county, created more and more of those delineal neighborhoods to make sure we are properly reflecting any changes in appraised value that should occur. And so that's been going on the last 2.5 years. Some are on site, some are using a variety of technology, but we have spread across the entire county. They've broken it down. We have submitted it to the Department of Tax. The Department of Tax is actually the entity that makes the determination on the values. We administer it, and they'll say, does this look right? Do you want to make any changes? But Department of Taxation plays a big role in this as well. Our goal is to make sure that every property county-wide aligns with our current housing market, as well as other factors that are going on. Big thing that occurs, we never go inside the home. It is always an exterior review, and so that is important, as if once you see the auditor's value, if you think there should be a change, we don't know what's going on inside, and so that's where pictures or other stories can be told that we encourage to engage. All of the 2023 mass reappraisal in Franklin County exists on the auditor's website on a Know Your Home Value website. Everything we're going to say today, everything my colleagues in the back are going to be able to share, you should be able to find on the website. It will have the auditor's valuation. It will have the opportunity that if you think the valuation is too high or too low, opportunities to submit documents or schedule an appointment. It will allow a GIS feature where you can look at that delineated neighborhood, compare recent sales, look at what your neighbors' recent sales have been to understand where we're getting those numbers and why. It will also have a dedicated tax calculator, because first question I get is, what's my value? Second question is, what are my taxes? Third question is, what's my neighbor's value? All of that can be gleaned through the Know Your Home Value website. So it is live now. On August 8th, that's when all the bells and whistles will be up. That's when you'll be able to find your auditor's tentative value. That leads to kind of the calendar of what to expect. Have finalized. We're, as an office, going through, making sure everything aligns. August 8th, go vote. And then after you vote, go to the auditor's website and look up your property value. That will be where the auditor's tentative value exists. If you are satisfied with that tentative value, don't want to see any changes, you don't have to do anything else. That value is what will carry forward when the treasurer, not the auditor, the treasurer sends the property tax bill in December. However, if you think the value is too high or too low, as I mentioned, you have options. Through the Know Your Home Value website, you can submit documents, so pictures of what's going on inside the home. If there's data that we have incorrect, say square footage or bathroom count, you can give that a third-party appraisal. That's the opportunity to submit documents. If you really want to meet with an appraiser, we're going to have those opportunities as well. You will be able to schedule a virtual meeting with an appraiser, about 20-minute meeting, and again, share those documents, have that conversation, or we will be going across the county through all of September for property value review meetings where you could sit across from the table, share those information. What I caution people, it's just not enough to say my value is too high or too low. We need to see some of the documentation and explanation of why you think that is the case. During the try, someone contacted me and said my grass is too high and I've mold my refrigerator. That's not going to change your valuation. And so want people to understand the factors and the information that's helpful to us. If you do submit documents or schedule a property value review, your value won't go up based on the information unless you're requesting a value increase. We do have property owners that want the value to increase. People always ask, who does that? Typically, it's a property owner that plans to sell their property in the next year, and so they want the auditor's value to look as high as they can. So those document submission, property reviews occur in September. In all of that meeting, no final determination of value will occur. We have to go back to the Department of Taxation, share the information, share any changes, or suggest no change. And then in December, we will notify any property owner that submitted documents or participated in person or virtual in those meetings what the final determination is. And then that final determination will be used by the treasurer, not the auditor, the treasurer, when she sends out the property tax bill. This is a sample of, so August 8th, available online. Mid to late August, we will be mailing notification of the valuation as well. This is a sample of what that mailing is going to look like. So when you see it, don't throw it away. When you open it, it will have your proposed auditor's valuation, again, with the explanation of that process. When you see that valuation, the gut check that we encourage people to think about is, if I was going to sell this property today, is this at a value that I would list my property for? More often than not, the auditor's valuation is probably going to be a little lower than what you would get on the market. The auditor's valuation has a whole different conversation on level of assessment, but it should be a little lower than what you would see if you put it on the market. Understanding, we're in a perfect storm, we're in a hot market, but that's the gut check. When you see the value, if I list it today, is it something I'm going to get? If you're satisfied with that, again, don't have to do anything else, sit back, enjoy Ohio State football. You don't have to take any time in September to meet or submit documents. But if you disagree, or if you notice that we have something wrong, we want to hear from you. Property owners play a huge role throughout this entire process. Earlier this year, we did a neighborhood survey where we wanted to hear directly from residents about conditions of their sidewalks, conditions of amenities in their neighborhood, how their schools were doing, what they thought of their neighborhood. We factored some of that into how we established our tentative values. Property owners continue to play an important role, that if you go now to the auditor's website and look up your property record, if our square footage is off, if a room count's off, we want to hear from you, because those are the factors that we rely on establishing that value. So again, submit documents, meet with an appraiser in person or virtual. That is what we will be doing in September. You also have a little explainer on how value is determined, and then the perfect storm piece of what is impacting your property value. And so you'll hear me say the word perfect storm a lot. 2020, we didn't know what to expect in the triennial with COVID. We went to the Department of Tax and suggested, we don't know what the market's going to do. They said, tough, you're required to do it, conduct it. And what we actually saw was, while maybe sales slowed, the value people were willing to pay for their property continued to climb. Month over month over month. There was 2 months where it went down once, it stayed even. Outside of that, it continues across the county to go up, up, and up. We are seeing huge population growth, a boom in Franklin County. We have historic lack of housing to meet that population, and that's before the boom occurred. hot real estate market. We remain one of the hottest top 10 across the country, not just in Ohio. Outside investors coming in, spending a lot of money on property, and then also what I refer to as outdated laws from the General Assembly. I don't believe in my heart of hearts when they established the property tax, property value process, they ever anticipated seeing this kind of growth in certain areas, and it's something all counties are seeing. So as I mentioned, first question is what's my property value? And so that perfect storm is what's going to factor in to that property value. Across the county, we are going to see about a 41% residential property value increase. That's where I get the faces and sometimes gasp. You guys didn't really gasp for me. That's not a bad thing. You want your property value to go up. You definitely don't want to see it go down. But understand the eye-popping number when you hear 41%. That means some communities are going to be higher, some are going to be lower. Anyone here from Whitehall? Whitehall is going to see a 68% increase on average. But when you look at the average sale price in their community, it's still less than $200,000. So what that story tells is a lot of people are moving in to Whitehall, paying a lot because they're seeing features, they're seeing affordability, they're seeing a housing stock where they're willing to pay more than it had been 3, 6, 9 years ago. Bexley average is going to increase 27%. It is not bad. That's the comments I like to hear when I talk to the mayor about it. He agreed. So those that at home, the comment in the crowd was, that's not bad. So that 27%, though, is troublesome for some folks. And the next question we get is, well, so here's what's going on across the state of Ohio. Counties across the board are seeing that increase. We get asked what's going on in Franklin County. So it's not just the 41% residential, we also have commercial properties, industrial, CAUV. So that's why the average is a little lower across the board. Second question, how is this going to impact my taxes? The good news is there's not a dollar for dollar match. When you see a valuation increase of 27%, your property taxes should not be going up 27%. The auditor's valuation, you take 35% of that and combine it with your taxing district. Your taxing district's primarily established at the ballot box. There's inside and outside millage, but primarily established at the ballot box. So as long as school district's not going to the ballot with a giant ask, as long as another taxing entity is not going to the ballot with a giant ask, you'll see an increase in all likelihood, but it won't be substantially that big. Bexley will probably be in a 4 to 6% range, which should be a little more budget manageable. Part of why this whole process was envisioned, it's not meant to be a economic boon for one taxing entity over another. All of a sudden, a school district isn't going to receive substantially more just because they've seen value increase. The General Assembly put in legislation, there's tax equalization. And so when we go to the ballot box, we approve an issue, it will be within the range of that issue. So if a school district said, we want to raise $10 million for the next 5 years, that's what that amount they can raise. They can't all of a sudden get more or less based on what happens through the property valuation process. So we will have the tax calculator on the Know Your Home Value website. We want people to get comfortable with it. Put in the auditor's valuation, compare it with their taxing district to understand what the implications could be. The caveat being, and Matt Jackson, who's in the back, and we're happy to talk to you about the role and play of the taxes, we don't know what will be approved or not approved on the ballot. So I live in the city of Columbus. Columbus City Schools looks like they're going to go to the ballot. They look like they're going to go to the ballot with a pretty large ask. If that passes, that will have a larger role on my property taxes, not just because of the valuation, but because of the role it plays on my taxing district. We saw this in 2020 in Gahanna. On average, during the triennial, values went up 20%. Gahanna's value went up 22%. Their property taxes went up 27% because voters in Gahanna approved a very large school issue. And so now it goes down. They're not going to see the same amount of increase, but it was just kind of that first time through. What the big takeaway is, it is not a dollar for dollar match. So a 27% value increase should not result in a 27% increase in property taxes. 100%, we have scenarios where your value could go up, your taxes could go down. Your value could go up, your taxes stay the same. Your value could go down and your taxes could go up. That's how much your taxing district and what occurs in that taxing district plays a role in what the impact to your property taxes will be. But I can say this all day. We want you to go out, get comfortable with the calculator when you have the valuation, and see the numbers yourself. You can also play around and say, well, if I got a reduction, how much of an impact would this be? If it got increased, how much would this be? Question we often get is, where do these tax money dollars go? As I mentioned earlier this week, someone said, is the school hurting I was in Gahanna, is the school hurting in Gahanna? Why are they going to need more money? So generally, tax rates are going to be maintained the same in those taxing districts because of tax equalization that the General Assembly established. When we saw a 20% increase across Franklin County during the try, property taxes went up about 7%, so 6.96. And that was including Gahanna, which if you took Gahanna out, actually lowers it not significantly, about another percentage point. So that's how much, when we're factoring our large community, one community can impact that overall average. But property taxes for Franklin County, not received by the county, so not including schools, cities, townships, they only saw a 2.5% increase. So we can go back, tell those stories, tell the numbers, but really want people to get comfortable with the calculator. Also, where's the additional money go? So the schools will say, staffing, materials, infrastructure, increased services. They're not seeing, again, a windfall by any means, but there could be some additional dollars. We don't want to hide the ball on that, but overall it should be pretty equal to what you've had. You can always visit the auditor's website, look at your property tax bill, see where the distribution of your property tax go. Again, it's the treasurer's property tax bill. The largest portion will go to the school district. We're very generous in Franklin County, though, because we love to support the zoo. We love to support the library, who's likely to go on the ballot this fall. Senior services, MRDD. There's a whole range of services that show up on your property tax bill that we have approved at the ballot box. We want to make sure that when we come out with the auditor's valuation, although it's coming now, August 8th, always encourage property owners to check the property record and make sure that the information we have is accurate. Lance and I have the conversation all the time. Someone will be like, my square footage is clearly wrong, and I'm going to guess it was wrong for the last 6 years. How much I've been overpaying in taxes? We want to hear from them. Does not mean they've been overpaying in taxes, but understand that the data is important to make sure and have confidence in the accuracy of our valuation. So please visit the website, check out the property card information, make sure it is accurate to what's occurring in your home. We don't go inside, so if it is really a 3-bedroom and it's listed as a 4-bedroom, we want to hear from you about that. If in August you get your value and you think it has, there's justification for a change, we want you to participate in a property value review or submit documentation. These meetings are intended for property owners to be an important role in the process. They always are, but there's no better way, an easier step, not all counties offer this, to meet with an appraiser, submit documents, and work with our office to get the values accurate. Then, sit back, relax, and wait for the letter and final determination in December and potentially the property tax bill. Again, the Know Your Home Value website is the one-stop shop. It's going to have all the bells and whistles, the GIS feature that we've never had before, the dedicated tax calculator looking at the historic nature of your taxing district, the ability to see what's going on within your delineated neighborhood of recent sales and information that we utilized along with your property's history to establish that auditor's value. So you'll be able to compare your home value, you got the tax estimator, and then if you're still concerned the value is too high or too low, schedule or submit documents. It is meant to be a resource for our community. Can also have questions and answers. I think this just keeps going. There's a lot of Q&A. So as questions have come in, we've tried to put information. The biggest one that will be of importance is what document should I submit? So participating in a property value meeting, what do you need? You can submit anything that you think will be helpful to us. Again, photos of the interior is important, third-party appraisal or other recent sales that when you look at the GIS tool, you don't think we are capturing. That is all helpful information to meet with an appraiser and submit that documentation. As I mentioned, delineated neighborhoods has played an important role. That's why we think our valuation is going to be the most accurate they've ever been. The challenge I've given to Lance and Steve is if we do our job right, you all should be happy when you see that, maybe not happy, but understand what that valuation is, why it was established that way, and not seek a change. Lance tells me I'm crazy to think that will ever occur, but that's been our goal and really what we've strived to do. The additional delineated neighborhoods plays a huge role in us getting to that. With the technology we've been able to invest in, with the desire to get more neighborhoods that reflect each other and how we establish the valuation, we should be as close as ever to establishing that right value. I don't know what else you're going to find on the website. This is what you did today, and I appreciate Councilwoman Saad. Request a speaker, happy to come out. We also have a lot of other very talented members of the office. We want as many residents, property owners across the county to know about this process. We don't want anyone to be shocked. We really don't want them to throw away the mailer if they have questions. There is nothing worse in our office than hearing from someone in December when they get the property tax bill from the treasurer, not the auditor, the treasurer, and they say, what happened here? Why did my valuation go up? And they've missed all these steps to participate, all these opportunities to make sure we have the right information. And so if there are other places that we can go speak, educate people on our process, we want to do so. We do have additional resources that exist on the auditor's website for people that are concerned about being property taxed out of their home. The auditor's office maintains the homestead exemption. We also have a property tax assistance program for qualifying individuals. It's a one-time program to help if there's a circumstance where you may not be able to pay your property tax bill. The treasurer has a payment plan option, and the treasurer's office also maintains the STAR program. And so there's other additional resources. Want you all to know those are out there available, and anyone that's interested, we can talk to you about those as well. That is it for the presentation. I am happy to answer questions. The gentlemen in the back are also happy to answer more specific questions. Looking out, you have Lance Gates. He is our chief appraiser in the auditor's office. He can tell you what in the world we've been doing the last 2.5 years, why the values look the way they do. He's one of our number crunchers. In the middle is Matt Jackson. He works on our fiscal side. He's here to help talk about the taxes. And then Steve Jarrell, one of our deputy chief of staff, he runs the normal board of revision, but for the property tax review, which is a board of revision light, Happy is here to assist and explain a little bit more of that process for anyone to have additional, more specific questions. That all said, I really would love to hear what questions you have for me, or if we did such a good job, that makes it easy. Yes, sir. What would you like to know?
What is that?
Matt, you want to explain the best way? Matt does a very good job of hitting inside and outside millage.
How's everybody doing? So inside millage is constitutionally provided. So before anybody votes on anything, cities, the county, the school gets inside millage. And so that is provided on the value regardless of what happens, right? So as your value goes up, that inside millage, which is 10 mil authorized in the state constitution, will go up, dollar for dollar with your value. And that is to protect on inflation and a number of things, right? Because as our costs go up as individuals, the school's costs go up, the cities. So that provides kind of somewhat of a cushion for them to absorb additional costs in all the things that they do. Beyond that, you have outside millage. And so a lot of tax districts across Franklin County are 60, 70, 80, and higher. So 10 of that is protected and will go up dollar for dollar. The rest of it beyond that, so the 50, 60, 70 beyond the 10, gets reduced. So those are all voted levies. So those are your Adam H. levies, your senior options, children's services, all the additional school levies that go on the ballot. All of those, because they were voted on, are considered outside of the constitutional guarantee. And therefore, when those are applied on your tax bill, we have to take into account the value increase, and those rates actually go down so that the entity that had it voted on or is collecting it collects the same amount as they did last year. And so that's the majority of your tax bill, but that's the outside piece. So when the auditor was talking about things going on the ballot this year in the city of Columbus, that all would actually get reduced right out of the gate in those, if they do pass. Does that
Was
help?
that clear?
There's a lot there.
This
but-
is a challenge on millage.
So on the ones that are voted, so let's say that a levy goes on the ballot in November, and it is we're seeing the expectation is for the city of Columbus City Schools for it to go. If that is supposed to collect $20 million, right, and that rate is 7.7, and I'm going to use easy numbers here, and all the values double, then that 7.7, it's going to be hard to do that, right? It's going to go down to about 3.8 or 3 point something. Instead of collecting at 7.7, it collects at 3.8 to still collect the $20 million. Now, what does that mean for you individually? That is a matter of how you compare to everybody else. So if everybody goes up on average 50% and you were a little less than that, then you're going to pay less than you would have before because you didn't keep up with everybody else's value increase. On the other side, if you go up more than everybody else, because an average means people have to be above and below, you might take on more than you would have before the reappraisal because you were higher than the average.
So Matt has been intimately involved in helping establish the property tax calculator, and so that's why he does a very good job and has looked at the rates and taxing districts pretty closely. Yes. Well, I want to thank the Councilwoman for the opportunity to come and meet with more constituents and Bexley residents to talk about this process. Again, we've got very talented subject matter experts in the back, so please, if you have additional questions, don't hesitate to contact us. As always, you can email me, Auditor Stinziano, at franklincountyohio.gov. You can call the office, 614-525-HOME. There will be a dedicated appraisal number on the Know Your Home Value website, so all things appraisal will be driven towards that, so people that have dog license questions can still have their dog license questions answered. Or you can always call my cell, 614-219-9224. We look forward to being a resource. We appreciate you taking the time learning about this. If there's any other neighbor, resident, member of your community that you think this would be important to know, please share this information. It will be available on the Bexley, I'm looking at you, Zach. I got a thumbs up, Bexley YouTube channel. All right, on the Bexley Library YouTube channel. And so that's there, but we're always appreciative and look forward to opportunities to answer additional, more specific questions as they come up. So thank you all.